Hello everybody, welcome to SSBCrack exams. I am Anuradha and in this session today I have brought for you 20 tricky questions that you need to know if you are going for your SSB interview. There have been times when in the personal interview of SSB, candidates were asked questions that they handled amazingly. In this session today, I bring for you 20 such questions and answers asked to the candidates by the IO in their SSB interview. So please do not take this questions and answers session as a reference to answer these in the actual SSB, as the answers may differ from person to person. So before I go on to discuss these 20 tricky questions and what can be the probable answers that have been given by the candidates in their SSB interview, I must say that if you want to now prepare for your different defense competitive exams at the comfort of your home, you can do so by logging on to our website SSBcrackexams.com. You can subscribe to the different courses that have been exclusively designed by our top-notch tutors for different defense competitive exams. You will get all the content, lectures, quizzes, mock tests, sample practice Q&A, previous year's Q&A, and much more. You can also follow us on our YouTube channel SSB Crack Exams, our Instagram page, our Twitter page, and also join our Telegram group. To know more about the different exams and the recent notifications and updates, you can also visit us on learn.ssbcrackexams.com. We also have our mobile app, so now you can also download our mobile app from the Google Play Store. So now I'm going to start with a small disclaimer that these questions that I'm going to discuss with you are taken from the SSB interview experiences as shared by the candidates on our website ssbcrack.com. So you may or may not face the similar questions in your SSB interview. As I've already mentioned, please do not take all the answers that I'm going to share with you in this session as the probable answers or as the best answers in your actual SSB, because you can give different answers to different questions that will be asked to you. Right, so I will start with the tricky questions now. So here you go with the first question. What are your future career options? Now please do not take this as the alternate career options. This question is not the same as alternate career options. So the candidate who to whom this question was asked, he answered, "Sir, I want to be a part of the Indian Army. If I couldn't make it, I will be trying for Air Force and the Navy." Right? The next question that was asked was, talk to me about your parents. What do you think of them? So here you can talk about the different contributions and sacrifices that your parents have made for you. So the candidate here replied, I think of them as people who gave birth to me and I owe my life to them literally. Right? The next question is, whom do you share your problems with? So this is a very easy and a personal question. You can say I share it with the relevant people. For example, regarding college and studies related problems, I share with my college friends. My personal problems, I share with my parents, and so on. The next question is, what will you do if I run away with your sister? Now, this question may seem a little tricky at first, because in this question, the IO will test how you will react to a sudden situation. So, as you can see here, the candidate has answered in a very witty way. He said, then I'll have someone qualified for guiding me through SSB procedure. I'll clarify all my SSB related doubts. Right? The next question that was asked to a candidate was, what if one morning you woke up and found that you were pregnant? Probably this question was asked to one of the female candidates. So if you're a female candidate, the IO asks you these kinds of questions in SSB, you can reply to the question something like, I'll be happy about it and celebrate with my husband and family. Right? That's a very natural and normal question to it. The next question is, why have you only applied for Army? Don't you like Navy or Air Force? Right? The candidate answered, sir, it doesn't matter where I get selected, but the passion for defense will be there in me, and I will try for Air Force and Navy too if I'm not selected for the Indian Army. Right? Okay, the next question can be, do you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend? So this kind of questions can be asked to you, and you can, it will depend. You can answer yes or no. If you answer no, it can be asked to you, why don't you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend? Are you a gay or a lesbian? Whatever. So you can say, I do support LGBTQ for equal rights, but I am not a gay. All right, I'm not a homosexual. So you can answer something like that, as the candidate has answered quite wittily here. The next question can be, why do you want to leave your current job for the army? So the candidate answered is, you can say, I don't want to leave my current job. The only reason I'll be leaving is when I'm selected in the forces. Okay. Another question that can be asked are, what are the things that you do not like about your current job? Now here you can go in length talking about what are the weaknesses of your company or in the workplace that you work in, or what are the loopholes or why you don't want to work in. But I would suggest that these kinds of questions are very tricky, because the IO will ask you these kinds of questions to test whether you are satisfied with one job or not. So it is better to answer in a much more clever way. So you can say two or three loopholes of your company or the workplace that you are working in, but it is always better to round it off with some replies like, I love my current job, sir, but I am always passionate about the forces. So try to tell as less amount of loopholes as you can find in your current job, because that will show what kind of a person you are, or that you are not satisfied with the current job, and it can be a problem. So this can pose as a very problematic answer if you're giving a length of a list of weaknesses about why you don't want to work in your current workplace. The next question can be, how do your friends describe you? Like an officer. Again, a very clever way of, saying this, a very clever way of replying to your question, where the candidate is already talking all these things, already telling the IO that my friend has already considered me like an officer. So I have all the officer like qualities, and that's why my friends like me, or something like that. Very clever way of saying. But you can also use some other words. How do your friends describe? You can say, I'm very helpful, I am very loyal to my friends. The next question is, what would be your reaction if I say I'm not going to select you no matter how excellent you perform? Again, these kinds of questions are asked to create pressure on the candidate. The IO wants to see if the candidate is able to handle failure, or is able to handle, a rejection. So it's okay. You can say that I will be all right. I will not. I will again apply. I will come again next year, and again I will face you, and again you will be questioning me, and I'll be answering to you. Or you can say something like, then I will get selected on the basis of the other two tests. As you know, in SSB, there are different tests that have been conducted, psychological tests, and so on. So you can say something very wittily like, the candidate has answered to this kind of question. The next kind of question is, would you rather choose an intelligent or a beautiful wife? So this was obviously asked to a male candidate, and the candidate has very cleverly again replied, I would choose a beautifully intelligent wife, right? So very tricky. So you know how to answer these tricky questions like this. So you can very cleverly and wittily answer questions. If you are allowed to beat the crap out of a person, who would it be? Right? So the candidate has answered Robert Clive for colonizing India. Very clever. Okay. So next question is, if you commit a crime without anyone seeing you, would you tell anyone about it, and to whom? It is recommended that if these kinds of questions are asked to a candidate specifically related to crimes, the candidate should say, yes, I will report the crime that I have committed to police. Okay, or to a person who will be there with me, who will take me to police station if I am unable to react or unable to tell all that have happened or all that I have committed to the police, right? So but why these kind of questions are asked? Because this is a question that will mainly focus on the psychological aspect of the candidate, whether the candidate is psychologically with the system or not. As you will understand, the defense forces are there to protect our country from any evil doing. So the IO is there to test whether a candidate, uh, even if he has committed a crime, is able to recognize it and is able to face any kind of consequences. Any kind of consequences, I mean legal consequences, right? The next question is, who would you save in a sinking boat, an old lady or your best friend? Again, you can see the very witty answer by the candidate. He said, the old lady, my best friend can swim, right? Okay. The next question is, suppose God is very happy with you, and so he gives you a chance to change one thing from your past. So here you can give a lot of things that you want your past to change. For example, maybe you have scored less in some subject. You can say, I would ask God to give me, a highest marks in that subject, or maybe qualify me for some exams. So the candidate here has answered, I would wish the first attempt of SSB again to remove the tag of repeater. Okay, it is not mandatory for you to talk only things related to SSB or SSB interview or defense related stuff. It's okay to talk about any personal things that you don't want you to happen in the past. Okay. The next question is, in the conference, any suggestions? Now, please answer it at your own risk. Like this candidate has answered. He said, yes, sir, please select me. Okay. So you can try this very wittily, very cleverly with a smile, a mysterious smile at your face. You can try this, but you can also give any other suggestions that you feel will be quite constructive and positive for the IO to know about. Okay. The next question is, why should I recommend you? So the candidate has been asked by the IO, and this is one of the very common questions that have been asked in any kind of interview, not only in SSB, but IO asks the candidate, why do you think that I will recommend you? Give me reason. So you can either say, because I have officer like qualities in me, or I can, I'm very passionate in protecting my country, working for the forces, and so on. So the candidate has also given the reply in a very similar pattern. He said, because you will not find anyone better than me. You see, the candidate is talking very wittily, but he is also in other ways showing that he is proud of his own self. So I would suggest not to talk anything that will show off your pride or your arrogance in something. This is quite a very arrogant reply. I would suggest you talk about why why the IO should recommend you. You can talk about any officer like qualities that you have that you think will be the best for the army. The next question and the last one is, why do you think you were not recommended in your previous attempts? Again, these kind of questions are asked for the candidate to see whether or how the candidate has taken the previous failures he has faced. You can also answer it in a very positive way. I would suggest do not answer failure related questions in a negative way. This will show that you are not very okay with your failures. It is very important to have a very optimistic and a positive outlook to the things that you do in your life, whether you fail or you pass. So these kind of questions can be, why do you think you were not recommended in your previous, you can say that there were some mistakes that I did, and you can list some of the 2 or 3 mistakes in your previous attempts which you thought that could be amended. But the candidate here has answered, and again, try it at your own risk. I would say I wouldn't suggest these kind of answers where the candidate has answered, sir, because you were not there to select me. You see, some of the IOs may take it very seriously and they may get offended. There are some other IOs who will take it in a very comical way and an interesting way. So please try it at your own risk. I hope that when you're talking with a person, you would understand what kind of a person you are talking to, right? So please be sure that the IO is not taking anything offensive. Then only you can answer these kind of questions in this way. Otherwise, it's better to be on the safe side. So I hope that after going through all these 20 tricky questions, and you have seen how candidates have answered in a very tricky, witty, in a very clever way, I hope you have got an idea of how to answer these kind of questions when you will face them in your SSB interview. I would suggest to prepare them beforehand, before you go to the interview, so that you are not caught off the guard when IO asks you these kind of questions. So in order to know more about these kind of questions, to know more about how you can answer these kind of questions, you need to stay tuned to SSB Crack exams and wait for my next sessions, where I will bring for you some other kinds of interesting questions and out of the box things that you can tell to your IO in your SSB interview. If you want to now prepare for your SSB interview, you can obviously order these books off from our SSB Crack shop website, or you can just order them off from Amazon and Flipkart, and these books will really help you in your preparation for SSB interview. So work hard, and practice for your written exam. That is important. For written exams, we already have our mobile app, so download our mobile app from the Google Play Store and prepare for your exams. And all the best. I will see you next in my next session, so stay tuned to SSB Crack exams. Jai Hind.